From the University of Maryland's Robert H. Smith School of Business, this is the Smith Report, Summer Edition. I'm Carrie Handworker from the Office of Marketing Communications. Each week this summer, we'll feature a conversation with a Maryland Smith MBA student working as an intern. This week, we're chatting with Ian Duncan. He's in South Dakota, working as a summer consultant for the National Park Service. Thanks for joining us today, Ian. I'm excited to learn more about what you're up to this summer. Tell us, where are you and what are you doing?
Yeah, thanks for inviting me to do this. So I am in South Dakota. I am currently in Custer, South Dakota, which is sort of a small touristy-ish kind of town in the Black Hills, sort of on the far southwest portion of South Dakota, right near Wyoming. And so I am out here this summer doing an internship with the National Park Service. I am doing specifically a sort of business plan internship with their business management group. And so it's myself and my co-consultant, and we are working on a resource sharing project between Mount Rushmore, Jewel Cave, and Wind Cave, which are sort of the three prominent parks here in the Black Hills.
That sounds pretty cool. So what do you do? Like, are you going to the parks every week or something? Like, what's your day to day? Tell us a little bit more about what that means and what you're doing.
Yeah, so day to day changes every day. So it's also sort of evolved over the course of the summer. The beginning of the project was spent. We spent a lot of time interviewing park staff. So we did pretty much interviews with all the permanent park staff at the three different parks. And so that was going between, going to Jewel Cave, going to Mount Rushmore, going to Wind Cave, and having those interviews and really sort of just getting a feel of the different tasks, the way labor is sort of divided amongst the different divisions within each park, because it's sort of park by park basis. And really starting to get like a better feel of, what are the things that are happening, what are the services that are taking place, and what are the resources that are available. Sort of looking at all of those pictures and then putting it together to try to figure out, where some commonalities can be seen sort of across the board and start to dive into some possible solutions for resource sharing in that part. So now, it's kind of, it's definitely more sort of sporadic about when we get to the parks. We're definitely more in the analysis side of things at this point. So we're spending a lot of time just looking at, specific solutions, how that's feasible, and sort of like what our final report's going to look like.
It's unusual to hear that you are actually on site this summer for your internship. Were you surprised that it continued as an on-site internship? And are you the only one who's on site this summer in your cohort?
Yeah, so I definitely was surprised, but happy. Definitely, especially for my specific project, it's really necessary to get face time, because ultimately what we're doing is looking at a big human capital project, and it's a big change management project. And both of those components mean that we need to be in person, reading the room, reading body language, talking about organizational change and sort of understanding inter-park politics and a lot of different aspects. That can be done virtually, but just not in the same extent. So we're really happy, just for the sake of the project, that me and my co-consultant were able to come out here. That said, it's I think I might be the only person.
So are you in an office right now, or where are you actually working this summer?
Yeah, so it changes. So I've got an office at Mount Rushmore in their admin building, and they've given me space down at Wind Cave, which is sort of down in Hot Springs area. It's about Custer, where I am in Custer, sort of like in the middle of all the parks, which is a really good situation. So I have some space down there as well. Where I am now is in Custer at my government housing apartment. So this is it.
So did you just see the internship opportunity online? And how did you get the internship?
Yeah, so it was I first saw it just looking through the sort of Office of Career Services database. It's an interesting internship where it's technically funded by Inspiring Capital, which does a couple other internships. And I know some of my cohort have other internships with Inspiring Capital. So they're sort of the funding side of things. And then the business management group is the managing sort of overseeing project management side of things. So we kind of live in this hybrid world. I found the project, just like I said, through the online portal database and just applied. I looked to see if we had any alums that were involved with it. As far as I'm aware, I am the first person to do the National Park Service from Smith, at least through this program. And then the interview process itself was extremely rigorous, which was good. At the time, it feels like a lot, but once you're accepted, you're happy it was rigorous because you can then say that. But it was. I think it was 4 rounds of different interviews, ultimately ending up in a one-on-one case interview with the person who ended up being my project manager from National Park Service. And the case interview was really detailed and highly specific, directly related to the National Park Service. And I'm quite glad I had practiced. And it was a case interview that probably lasted over an hour and a half, which was a long one.
Wow. So how do you think the Smith School prepared you for this internship? Are there any specific courses or experiences that you really think prepared you well for this?
Absolutely. Sort of across the board, I would say I felt extremely prepared for this. I'm trying to think where to start. I guess if I were to break it down, first and foremost, I think I felt prepared because of Office of Career Services. I think my ability to speak to what I'm looking for, why I'm looking for it, and what I can bring to the table as a consultant, as a business person, for lack of a better term, I think was extremely helpful for me being able to, elucidate what my value proposition was. And specifically to the National Park Service, that really mattered because it's such a mission-driven organization. You can try to throw all of the, business jargon you want out there, but unless you can connect and sort of explain why all of this is going to relate directly to the National Park Service mission and why it matters to you, was not going to be successful. And just sort of that time and the practice saying, this is me, this is what I'm about, this is my experience, this is why I think I'll be helpful, was really good. In addition to that, from the academic standpoint, it definitely helped with the case interview. It was a pretty detail-oriented, math-driven case interview, which, again, I was a math teacher, so it's not necessarily that's not as much a challenge for me, but just sort of being able to think within sort of like the context of frameworks, whether that was looking at consultant-specific frameworks. My consulting class that I took actually this past semester was extremely helpful, without a doubt, both now as I'm working through different frameworks and and deliverables and that kind of thing, and thinking in holistic and specific viewpoints. It's been really helpful, but it was also helpful in sort of getting the job in the first place.
How about advice for other students who are going to start the internship hunt this fall?
I think that's ultimately the most valuable part of looking for internships is to have a very clear value proposition, to know exactly what you as an individual are bringing to the table that everyone else who's competitive is going to bring to the table, and then what are the components of your background and experience and the things you're looking to do that set you apart. I started to figure, I think coming in, it's overwhelming, hands down, between academics and internships and everything that's going on. And I feel for the group coming in with COVID stuff, because that's going to just have a whole nother layer to everything. And I think, therefore, it is even more important to just have a really clear, concise, and well-formed value proposition, so that when you're talking to companies, you can quickly say, like, hey, is this a fit? If it is a fit, why? And why you specifically? And if it's none of those things, just move on to the next one. There's plenty of opportunities. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, Ian. I loved hearing about your summer out west. A bit of a different experience than a lot of your cohort members, but it sounds like you're having a great time.
I am. Yeah, no, it's been a really, really positive experience all around, and I'm looking forward to whatever it brings me in the future. And thanks for letting me talk to you.
That's our conversation with Maryland Smith MBA student Ian Duncan, who's interning this summer with the National Park Service. Thanks, Ian, for sharing your experience with us. And thanks to you for tuning in. From the University of Maryland's Robert H. Smith School of Business, I'm Carrie Handworker in the Office of Marketing Communications.